Welcome to In the Huddle. I'm your host Xavier, and this is Ben, and this is John. We're here to give you your fantasy news and updates for the week.
My team this week, both of my teams won. I'm finally satisfied with my teams and where they're at. Even my brother had to admit my win team was a championship team. So, how did your teams do, John?
I've been winning for the past couple of weeks, so I mean, I'm on a roll right now. I don't know about this next game, but I'm hoping.
That's good.
Yeah.
All right, on to the studs of the week. My stud of the week is Chris Beanie Wells. He had been dealt with major knee injuries over the years, and he hasn't really produced this season. All of this was not going to hold him back against a lousy Swiss cheese defense of the Rams. He had 27 carries on 228 yards. This was a team record for rushing yards. What do you guys think? That was a really big performance.
It was a big performance, but how many records do the Arizona Cardinals have? Was it 100 yards before? No, I'm just kidding. Such a young franchise. Maybe back when they were St. Louis, but
they don't have a lot of records, but that's still putting up a lot. 228 yards is a lot.
You can't deny that.
That is a lot.
Yeah,
70 yards off of the NFL complete record that Adrian Peterson holds. I mean, that's a lot.
Yeah, Peterson did that his rookie year, though, so Beanie has a lot to make up for it.
And I definitely have to agree with the Rams' defense comment. I mean, that was just...
It's weak.
Yeah, it's so weak. It's ridiculous. I mean, they need to do something with the defense. The coach needs to do something with that defense.
Yeah.
I mean, even the Browns have a better defense than the Rams. If you look at
I wouldn't go that far and say that, but
a little bit better, maybe.
Yeah, see, he's agreed.
All right, now time for the dud. My dud of the week this week is San Francisco running back Frank Gore. With only 39 rushing yards and on 14 attempts, it shows what a phenomenal defense can do to even the best players in the league. I don't buy into this week, though, because of matchup reasons. You cannot expect a running back to be stellar against the #1 ranked defense in the league. Gore is looking to bounce back against the lousy St. Louis defense. The ESPN analysts are looking to project a modest 23-point week. The Rams have the 18th ranked defense, so you can pretty much assume a thrashing.
Yeah, he was up against Baltimore. Baltimore has a great defensive line and linebackers. It was bound to happen.
I'll admit it, I was starting to doubt the Ravens defense just because how old is Ray Lewis now? I think he's my grandpa's age. the Ravens defense is old, but they're still just as good. They're just phenomenal even at this age in their career, and they're having young guys come up through the system, and pretty soon it'll be the new faces, but still just as good thanks to the veterans on the team.
Ray Lewis, he's getting up there in age, but he's still going to perform day in and day out. It doesn't matter.
Yeah, we don't have to worry about him pulling a Brett Favre on us because he'll be just as good and he won't have to bounce from team to team.
Yeah, he'll just stay there because he'll be good there instead of like retiring and coming back.
Yeah. Gore though, back to Gore, he's a really good running back.
He really is.
It's just crazy what a good defense can do to even the best running backs in the league.
Yeah, but I agree with you with him coming back.
Yeah, he'll be fine this coming week.
He said the Ravens have a good defense, and they're going against the Browns, so that's going to be a good matchup for their D. I mean, a definitely good matchup for their D, especially with the running back situation and the lack of receiver talent that they have.
Exactly.
They only have a few good ones, and that's not going to cut it against the Ravens D.
Yeah.
All right, Xavier, who's your definite starter?
My definite starter is Wes Welker. Where can you go wrong with him? He had 8 catches for 115 yards and 2 touchdowns. He's a star wideout, and how can you do that with arguably one of the best quarterbacks in the league? It won't hurt that he's facing the Colts this week. Expect another big game from him. ESPN is projecting him to have 8 catches and 112 yards for 1 touchdown. But I think he might even do better than that.
It's the Colts. They're 0-11.
I so agree with that.
Okay,
you can't.
It's the Manningless Colts, more specifically.
Yeah.
They just don't have any heart. I'm really, really disappointed in the Colts team. They can win a game. They have enough talent on that team to be even 4-12.
Yeah.
There's just no excuse just to quit because your star quarterback's out.
Yeah, I know. Like, at first we were looking at it and we were like, oh, okay, the star quarterback's out. Is it going to be shaky or what? And they're all right. I mean,
they'll still do fine.
Yeah.
With Kerry Collins, they signed him to a $4 million contract.
Right.
At some point, and then decided to not do well, get a concussion. Curtis Banner comes in, he gets benched, and now Orlovsky's in. It's just a mess in Indianapolis, and you wouldn't expect their defense to suffer from that, but they're just heartless. They're just down. Yeah. They're being kicked while they're down, and Brady and Welker is going to be a nasty combo this weekend. I'm definitely excited for having Brady on both of my fantasy teams to have him do well this week.
Yeah.
ESPN never really goes, even with the star players, over about a 25-point prediction. But they're predicting Brady to have 31 points this week, which is just ridiculous for any week. So, yeah, expect the Colts D to get thrashed this weekend.
Yeah, you would think somebody would step up on the team, but nobody really has this year, and it's very sad to see the Colts go down that way.
Yeah, especially after they've been good for the past couple years.
Who's your injury replacement this week?
Well, actually, my injury replacement is a very long list of injured players. We have Kevin Smith from Detroit Lions, Miles Austin from Dallas, Andre Johnson from the Houston Texans, Ahmad Bradshaw from the New York Giants, and Darren McFadden, Denarius Moore, and Jacoby Ford of the Oakland Raiders. So if you own any of them, you might want to look to replace them this Sunday.
There's a lot of speculation on whether Miles Austin will play or not, and people think that's directly going to affect Warren Robinson's production. But a lot of people on ESPN are saying that Warren Robinson will have a good week either way. Romo's starting to develop a chemistry with him.
I agree.
He's doing well.
I agree with ESPN because they are having a good chemistry together. They've been coercing together. They've been working. I mean, on the practice field, you can tell when it comes game time because they're working it out. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
They seem to be.
Warren Robinson has 4 straight touchdown weeks, and in the last 4 games, he's second only to Calvin Johnson in the league. Calvin Johnson, obviously the best wide receiver, number 1 ranked fantasy wide receiver. Warren Robinson's definitely having a good rookie showing.
And if he is really a good wide receiver, he will step up and do his job and help his team out.
That's what you got to do. That's what you have to do in the NFL.
I feel bad for Andre Johnson, though. That quarterback situation in Houston's just looking bad.
Yeah.
With Leinart out now, there's just no way that he can really produce well unless their backup quarterback finds himself in a good spot. So those injured players look like they're in for a world of hurt. No pun intended.
All right, Ben, who's your sleeper pick of the week?
My sleeper pick of this week is Colts running back Donald Brown. With all the questions at quarterback and all the uncertainty of who will even start, Brown is a solid running back 2 spot. He is owned in only 18.8% of ESPN fantasy leagues. This shows a great opportunity. ESPN analysts are projecting 56 rushing yards and a TD this week. The matchup isn't too favorable in the New England Patriots, but if there is a rushing touchdown to be had, it is his. Don't overlook this chance to get solid production if you have injury problems. The Colts, we were just on the subject, but the Colts offense definitely has a good player in their running back. He's their number 1 now. You can expect him to get most, if not all, of their touches at running back. So we can expect Brown to have a lot of attempts in, like ESPN said, 56 yards and touchdown. In a lot of leagues, that's a good, solid production, especially if you own Sean Green like I do, who has been getting me 7 points, 1 point, no points, and now with Tomlinson back, you can't expect the Jets running backs to produce anything. So since he's only owned in 18.8% of the leagues, on ESPN that is, but that's not only ESPN, you can tell that's going to carry over to Yahoo and all the other leagues. So we can expect Brown to have a good week.
And since he's the number 1, he should start performing like he's the number one running back. And the Colts don't have a passing game. Everybody's out at quarterback. Yeah. So he should step up and have a pretty decent game.
Again with that quarterback situation.
Everybody's afraid of the Patriots, but we also have to remember it's the Patriots offense that we fear because the defense really isn't that great, but when you have a quarterback like Tom Brady, you really don't have to worry about defense as much.
Yeah, and I think a lot of that goes with their line. I mean, like that's why some of the teams with more of a running game get through there and stuff. But I mean, their passing is all right too.
Yeah.
They're good. They're diverse, but they're not one strong. You know what I mean? So that might help them. But with this, they need to focus more on the rushing, obviously, because with the quarterback situation, they're not going to look to throw it that often.
Right. All right, John. Who shouldn't we get down on this week?
Well, we shouldn't get down on Peyton Hillis. Peyton Hillis is back, and for how much hype he had, he is surely making Cleveland fans mad. Most people expect him to leave for the next year. He had 19 carries and 65 yards, and will continue to play. So don't get down on him because he will increase. As for how he was at the start of the season, doubtful that he will be the greatest for the first few games back. Expect a very slow start, but don't get down on Hillis.
I think Hillis has been one of the hot button topics of the NFL this year, probably second to Tebow, and that's just another story. But Peyton Hillis definitely has made a lot of Cleveland fans frustrated, and a lot of fantasy owners frustrated. So Peyton Hillis has just been that guy that you fear on your fantasy team that's just been a headache all year. I definitely like to get rid of my headache players, but...
Now, I have Hillis on my team, and he has been such a pain because when I had him at the beginning of the season, I was like, all right, Peyton Hillis, he's going to give me a lot of points. He's going to put points up on my team. He's going to help me win. And that's exactly what happened. First few weeks, I was doing awesome. I was win, and then suddenly he gets a hamstring injury. He's out. I start losing. Now,
I really don't think he should have been out as long as he was. He tweaked a hamstring.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking.
And we're talking about one of the important muscles in your leg, but still, if you only tweak a hamstring, that guy's he's quitting, he's trying to get money, and it's just hurting his team as a whole.
But you are an NFL running back. You should be able to get over your injuries more because you don't want to be injured in the NFL. I mean, that's not why you do things like that. I mean, so, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, well, Ben, what's your pick of the week?
My kicker pick of this week is Mike Nugent. While we hear about the high-flying rookies from the Bengals, the kicker on this team has been producing as well. Along with the skill of the rookies, you can also expect stalling drives. While kickers seem to be expendable, Mike Nugent seems to be all reliable.
He's a really good kicker.
Yeah, I have to agree with the X. I mean, he's a definitely reliable kicker. You can't argue with that. So, how about you, X? What do you have?
My pick of the week is kicker Sebastian Janikowski from the Oakland Raiders. He has 6 field goals in last week's games. You don't see that every day for a kicker. He scores a lot of points for the Raiders day in and day out. When they need him, he's reliable to make his field goals no matter what.
Well, I definitely agree with that. And then another good kicker to look at is Phil Dawson from the very own Browns. He has kicked 7 50-plus field goals and put up 9 points for 9 of 12 weeks in most leagues. Expect to see some big kicks against the Ravens because their offense overall isn't that well, and they're going to need to rely on him for them long field goals that he has been putting up.
As we've seen in the past.
Yeah.
Definitely.
And that's basically the Browns' game, kicking right now.
Exactly.
You can't really score them.
They're scoring more points kicking than they are with their offense. I mean,
it's sad.
All right. Thanks for catching In the Huddle. For Ben and John, I'm your host, Xavier, and we'll catch you next week. Hut, hut!